Again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining and taking your time off to be here. And also, I'm glad to be able to connect with Kumbuluduf in Laguna Beach, a group from there. And so, yeah, looking forward for this weekend. We have one session today, tomorrow we have two sessions, and on Sunday we have one session in the morning. So totally it's 4 sessions. And during those 4 sessions, we will go through the first chapter. And with each of sessions, at the end of each sessions, we will have a time for answer to questions. If anyone want to ask questions, or if anyone want to share from the class, from the discussions, so you are most welcome to do that. There will always be that opportunity and time, and I encourage for people to ask questions. It helps to understand better, because when you ask questions, you have to understand, you have to put it in a way, so because you have to think it, so sometimes it helps you to understand better. Also that also help, and it also helped me. I think personally, I like the question and answer part very much, because it is also a way for me to learn myself as well through questions. Sometimes there are certain questions that I have never thought about that give me to something to contemplate and reflect. And sometimes I might have some answer, and sometimes I might not have an answer. But yeah, so okay. So before we start, I think maybe what I want to do is just take a few moments to generate good intentions, motivation for being here. May all of us coming here together and listening to the talk, reflecting, contemplating on that. May all of these become cause and conditions to cultivate and actualize the awakening mind of the Bodhisattva within each of us, all sentient beings. And through that, may we be able to achieve fully enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And may we be able to liberate all sentient beings from all their suffering and cause of suffering to the enlightenment. Okay. So maybe we can do the refuge and Bodhisattva prayers. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chodang soge sonam la, changju padu dane gyasa, dagi shunye yebe sonam, rola penje sangye dhubara. So, so the topic for the weekend is the first chapter of the one of very well-known classical texts by one of the greatest Indian masters, Shantideva, and it's a guide to both a way of life. And it is said this is one of the most well-known texts in India, where they have written so many other masters on commentary on that, and as well as in Tibet. Also, this is one of the texts that has been studied and learned in all different lineage. All lineage have been using this as a source of study and practice. And His Holiness Dalai Lama always encourage us to study this text, and he shared his own experience. He give credit for his loving kindness, compassion, whatever loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta that he had been able to develop. He give credit for this text, and he shares and he says, very often, time to time, he said at the very beginning of his life when he was studying, he felt like emptiness or something that he felt like he understood it, and it felt like that he can have a realization of that he felt like it is something reachable, something within the something he can actualize it. But he said the bodhicitta, it seems like also very far away. He felt like that at the very beginning. He felt like, oh, bodhicitta seems too far away. It's something quite distant. And later, he received these teachings, guides both a way of life from one teacher, Kunalama Rinpoche. And he was a lay practitioner, Heidin practitioner. So he received this teaching on this Shantidevas, that oral transmissions and the teachings, all of that. And that really inspired him. And so he started to in practice by using this as a source for his bodhicitta mind. And slowly, as he started to study, reflect, contemplate, meditate, slowly he felt that it is something possible, maybe something reachable, something you can reach, something it is possible. And eventually, not only he felt it is possible, he is able to actualize those mind. And he says, for him, that this text give him all, that give him the seed, and to develop his loving kindness bodhicitta. And that is something he always encouraged for us to study. And also this text explain the whole path to Bodhisattva's path. If we talk about the Bodhisattva path, at the very beginning of the Bodhisattvas, as someone who is Bodhisattvas, when they engage in the path, first they generate the bodhicitta mind. Once you generate the bodhicitta mind, then you become the bodhisattvas. And once you have generated the bodhicitta mind, on the basis of that bodhicitta mind, then you engage into the bodhisattva's practice, such as 6 perfections, 10 perfections. And by having engaged in a practice such as 6 perfection or 10 perfections, then you actualize the result, the enlightenment, fully enlightenment. And so this text with the 10th chapter, it explains the whole path. In the first 3 chapters, it explained, cultivating the Bodhisattva mind. And then chapter 4 and 5, then it explained the perfection of moral discipline. Chapter 6, the perfection of patience. Chapter 7, the perfections of joyous effort in virtues. Chapter 7. Chapter 8, meditations, meditative concentration. Chapter 9, wisdom, perfection of wisdom. And chapter 10 is the dedications, and also it includes the perfection of generosity also in that. So with that, then you can see all 6 perfections, with each of the chapters, the 6 perfections are explained. So that is how, so you can see, is the whole path. It explained within the 10th chapter, it explained the whole path. Also, one of the teachers, according to one of the great masters, Lama, Zabadu Rinpoche, he's a Nyingma practitioner, mainly Nyingma, but he also studies others as well. And he is the one who wrote the word of my perfect teacher. And that Zabadu Rinpoche, again, great bodhisattvas, great practitioners. And according to his explanations of dividing those 10 chapters is, according to his commentary, and that, like we have this Bodhisattva dedication prayer, Changju Samjo Rinpoche, may the jewel of Bodhisattva which are not arising, may it arise, which is arising, may it not diminish, but increase more and more, that dedications. So through that, then the first 3 chapters are a chapter to generate the Bodhisattva which are not been generated. Okay. And then next 3 chapters, chapter 4, 5, 6, are a chapter on once you have generated Bodhisattva mind, how to maintain it and not to, so it doesn't diminish, right, decrease, but instead that it, to help with the practice to maintain that. And then next 3 chapters, chapter 7, 8, 9 is how to increase and improve the Bodhisattva mind that you have already cultivated. And then the 10th, the dedications. So then that also, it can be kind of understood, those chapters from that context. I think it is a very nice way of doing that too. So the first chapter is, as you can see, the benefit of awakening mind. Okay, so here the Bodhisattva, awakened mind. And in order to cultivate the awakening mind, the awakening mind of the Bodhisattva, we have to practice. Okay. Without practice, we cannot cultivate it, generate it. We need to practice. To practice, we need to be inspired. If you are not inspired, you will not practice, isn't it? Someone cannot force you to practice with a stick, okay? even though maybe if you have someone like a Marba, maybe you might be able to, like how Marba did with the Milereba, you know, maybe with a stick, maybe someone might be able to force you to do that. Uh, I don't think we can become like a Milereba, you know. If our teacher behave like Marba, that teacher will be in trouble, you know. That teacher will be in trouble. And we don't have same level of uh, the the devotions to be able um, to endure that kind of uh, punishment, or that kind of way of guiding us, you know. Um, and Milereva did that to Marva did that to Milereva because he knew that he can endure that. He didn't do that same to any other students because Marva knew exactly what Milereva needed because of so many negative karma he had created, and he need to purify it in order, and he saw the potential in him. If he can purify those hardships, then he can achieve enlightenment quickly. So he saw that potential, and he saw that he can endure those hardships, and so he put into taste like that, you know. But Marva never did with others because he also knew that they don't have the same kind of the ability to endure that kind of hardship, you know. So anyway, that's um, so what I was talking was, so to us to practice, we have to be inspired. That was the way we were talking about, you know. We have to be inspired, you know. Um, so when you are inspired, even someone to tell you not to practice, you know, they will not be able to stop it, you know, because you have such a interest, strong interest, such a strong inspiration, strong interest, and strong inspirations. And so you will, and so the more stronger inspirations, um, the more you practice, you know, and the more you practice, and the more strongly you practice, the better result you have from the practice. And in order to get such a great inspirations um, and interest, then we have to understand all the benefit of the bodhicitta mind. The more you see the benefit, the more you will be inspired. The more you understand the benefit, the more you will have more interest and more inspirations, isn't it? When the new iPhone come and they say, no, what new features are, you know, and if you buy this one has this feature and this feature, all benefit, you feel like you need this, you know, you feel like you need this new one, you know, because there is so many new feature that it is not in the previous one, you know, and so the more you feel, the more you see the benefit, the more you will be inspired to do that. And so therefore, that is where it starts with the first chapter, start with the benefit of the Bodhisattva mind, to give that inspirations, why we need to develop and cultivate that Bodhisattva mind. If we cultivate and generate that Bodhisattva mind, what are the benefits? How will it help us in short term, long term? How will it help us and others? And you know, to understand that. So before we even go in more detail, you know, the benefit of bodhicitta mind or the awakened mind of the bodhicitta. First, maybe even though I'm not sure, you know, most of you are probably, I'm not sure whether there's anyone new who doesn't know what bodhicitta is, you know, but I guess since I don't know anyone, so first because we are going to be talking about the benefit of awakening bodhicitta mind, first you have to know what the bodhicitta or awakening mind is, you know. Otherwise, you have been talking so much, but what is that mind, you know? What is that awakening mind, you know? Um, so even though it will come later, but just to kind of awakening mind or bodhisattva mind, bodhi or awakening is the fully enlightened, fully awakened state. And the mind, chitta is the mind. So what it means is, the wish or aspirations to achieve fully enlightenment or fully awakened state in order to liberate all sentient beings from all the suffering and cause of suffering, or in order to benefit all sentient beings, the wish to achieve the most perfect and complete state of enlightenment. That is the bodhisattva mind, okay? The bodhisattva mind. The wish to achieve the most perfect and most complete state of fully awakened or fully enlightened state in order to be the greatest benefit to each and every sentient beings. So to put this simplified way, maybe that is the bodhisattva mind. So you can say the bodhisattva mind is the highest level of altruistic attitude or intentions. There are so many different levels of altruistic intention or attitude, but bodhisattva mind is highest. Like you can have loving kindness is altruistic intention. Empathy is altruistic intention. Compassion is altruistic intentions or attitude. And bodhisattva is one of them. And bodhisattva is much more, the attitude of bodhisattva or the mind of that bodhisattva or awakening is much more profound and stronger than the others. Loving kindness bodhisattva, so that is the chapter on. Okay, so that is the chapter on. So then, if you have the text, at the very beginning, the first verse is paying respect, homage. So here, respectfully, I prostrate myself. So here, Shantideva himself. Myself means Shantideva, the author. To the Sukada. The Sukada is the same for the Buddha's enlightenment. In Su means bliss, joy, happiness, and Gada means gone. Gone to the bliss or gone blissed. Sukada. And there is many different meaning of that. I don't think maybe we need to go so much into that, one way of explaining that is, Sukada means, going into the bliss from happiness to happiness. So, when you engage in the Bodhisattva path, when we cultivate the bodhisattva mind, and when we enter the bodhisattva path, from that moment, true happiness and true peace starts. The very moment that we actualize the bodhisattva, from that very moment, we have entered the path of happiness. And how many ever lifetime, eons it takes to achieve enlightenment on the path to Bodhisattva path, then as you progress on the Bodhisattva path through 5 paths and 10 bhumis, your happiness, the level of your happiness increases more and more. So from happiness to happiness, we kind of, once we are on that path, then we go happiness to happiness, and to the final ultimate happiness of fully enlightenment, fully awakenment. And so that state that has gone to the ultimate and final happiness, from happiness to happiness, that level. So that is Sukada, who are endowed with the Dharmakaya, and so those Buddhas who are endowed with the Dharmakaya, so Dharmakaya is the, the wisdom mind, completely enlightened or exalted wisdom. So Dharmakaya can have two different levels, wisdom Dharmakaya and natural Dharmakaya. And the natural Dharmakaya is the ultimate reality or nature of that wisdom, and then the wisdom itself. And so that is Dharmakaya. And that wisdom, that enlightened wisdom of the Buddha is the Dharma. Okay. As well as to those their noble sons, or noble children, and that is the Bodhisattvas. Okay. So then here you see the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Those Bodhisattvas are the Sangha, the Mahayana Sanghas. And to all those who are worthy of veneration, so that means all other Sanghas, such as Arhat and Aryas, who are on the path. So basically, the author is paying homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha in this the first verse, paying respect, homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, especially to the Mahayana refuge. And then next, here I shall explain how to engage in the vows of the Bodhisattva son. The meaning which I have contents in according with the scriptures. So here he's saying what he's going to explain, what in this text he's going to. The vows, I think it is, I don't know whether it's the right translations. I think it could be vows, in Tibetan is dom, and that could have a different meanings. It could be vows, definitely is vows, and sometimes it can mean the kind of the also it could mean it's like the frameworks, the framework, the whole frameworks of the Bodhisattva path, because if you really go, actually, it's not really talking about the vows itself, the Bodhisattva's vows itself, but actually it talks about the framework of the Bodhisattva path, how to cultivate bodhicitta, and once you have bodhicitta, then how to engage in the Bodhisattva's practice, such as sixth perfection and so forth, But another way of understanding, if we take it as the vows itself, then when we talk about Bodhisattva vows, then we talk about there are three Bodhisattva vows, three type of Bodhisattva vows. Maybe not the vows. I think maybe vows when we talk about the moral discipline of the Bodhisattvas, the perfection of moral discipline. Then there are three type of moral discipline. The moral discipline of refraining from the misdeeds, and the moral discipline of engaging in virtues, and the moral discipline of benefiting others. Those three are part of the moral discipline, which also become part of the vows in a way. And so if you take that, then maybe you can say, because all the Bodhisattva's practice are contains in those three. All the Bodhisattva's practice are contains within one of those three. So in that sense, then we can also say that basically he's saying he's going to explain the training on the Bodhisattva's path, training on the Bodhisattva path. And he's saying, he's not making of himself. He said the meaning of which I'm content here according to the scriptures. According to the scripture here, meaning the sutras. In the Buddha's own words, in many of the sutras, he's going to explain according to what I explained in those sutras. And so he is not like he's making up himself. So it gives authenticity of the source of those teachings. Okay. And so in terms of sutras, there is a, I don't know in English, in Sanskrit translation, but there are like Dote Pelpoche, in Tibetan, and there are around like 6 volumes of them, and in sutras, and those are mostly on Bodhisattva's practices. So he relied many of those sources from those sutras, and there is another 4 volume of Konsek, heap of precious jewels, something like that. And they are also, those are also again another sutras that explain a lot of Bodhisattva's practices. And so he relied on those sutras. So scripture, according to scripture, meaning those sutras, so he's, and if the Buddha has already explained, why do you need to explain, Why do you need to explain, If the Buddha has already explained them, then he is saying, even the Buddha has explained them, but they are scattered in different sutras, and it's very vast. As I said, like in one sutra, Dote Pelpoche is 6 volumes. Gonzek is 4 volumes. And then also in some other sutras. And each of those sutras, 1 volume has, 400 to 500 pages. So we don't have time to study all of that. So he is saying he's condensing them. Take the essence from all these sutras, condense them. So for like us, who doesn't have so much time to study all of them, make it easy for us. Kindness is his kindness. If we have to study all these 10 volumes, we wouldn't find the time to do that, And so he said has contents, summarize all the meanings and the essence from those sutras, and that is how he's going to explain. And so that is why he explained that. And then and next he's being kind of humble, humble. And Shantideva was a really bodhisattva himself, bodhisattvas, great bodhisattvas who always regarded himself as a lords of others, lords among others, even though he's great masters, great scholar, great practitioner, but he was hidden practitioner. He never show up, he keep himself very low and hidden. And that was his practice, because he was so hidden, nobody knew that he was a great practitioner. People thought he knew, they even had a nickname for him, Busuku, which means who know only the Busuku, now I'm trying to remember because each of these is Sanskrit word of each. Su is, I think, sleeping, and Bu is eating. Of course, it is not the whole word, but it's the beginning of each of word, and Busuku, and then going to toilet. So he only knows 3 names. That was everyone called him, eat, sleep, and go to toilet. Busuku, that was the a kind of nickname that some of the others gave him, because that is what they saw. They saw that he was, all he did was that. But he was really great practitioner, hidden practitioner. You know, so he was extreme, great scholar and practitioner, but very, very humble. Practice humility, hold himself even lowest of all. And so that also show here in, you know, there's nothing here that has not been explained before by Buddhas and other great masters before him, you know. He's saying that he doesn't have anything new to share. You know, everything that he's going to explain, everything that he's going to share here is something Buddha has already told, and all the earlier masters of the, like Nagarjuna, Asanga, before him, everything that they have already explained. So there is nothing kind of, nothing new for him to explain here, not explained before. And I have no skill in art of rhetoric. And also he is saying, you know, in terms of the subject, is subject that is not something new, that it is subject that was also been explained before. In terms of writing, he said he doesn't have this poetic and nice way of writing it. So again, he's being very humble, even though when you see it, it's very poetic, you know. And therefore, lacking any intention to benefit others, I write this in order to acquaint it to my mind. And so he is saying, you know, so he said this text will not benefit for those who are looking for just a new informations, gathering just informations, you know, or I want to hear something new, you know. He said, if you have come to listen because you want to hear something new that you have not heard before, it's not going to be beneficial. Also, if you came here because you think that it's going to be very elegant with very, you know, elegantly explained, even though maybe the subject is not great, but still someone who can make it elegant and with such a poetic and that, you know, then also you are not going to benefit. You know, sometimes, I mean, poetry are like that. There's no really meaning, you know. You just talk about flower and it's just a word, making it such a nice word, but there's nothing really meaning, you know. It's just describing of flowers or weather or river, you know, is playing with the words. So he is saying, if you also came for that, you will be disappointed. Okay. And so, therefore, for such individuals, you know, then he says, this is not going to be benefit, but still I'm going to explain it, because in order to familiarize myself with that, because when you write, when you explain, then you repeat in your mind. And so you are contemplating yourself. And with that kind of reflecting, contemplating, in order to retain what you have studied, what you have learned, in order to improve your understanding. And for that purpose, then I'm going to write. Okay. For due to acquaintance with what is wholesome, the force of my faith may be short, while increased because of these words. So yeah. If, however, those words are seen by others equal in fortune to myself, it may be meaningful for them. And so then he's saying, you know, but those who came here to listen or to read it with the intentions not to just gather information, but to practice. Not to get information and new information, but really to integrate and practice, then it will be benefit. Or if you came to really look for the words and for the meaning instead of just nice words like poetry, but its meaning also it will be beneficial. So for those, then they will be meaningful. And that what it explained here is, when we engage in a practice, when we study the Dharma, when we study the Dharma, it's not like some kind of reading a history, History, information, that's it. With the Dharma practice, it's not just the information you integrate. You have to integrate that, what you have studied in your life, integrating your practice. And through integrations and applying, then we started to have transformations, changes, positive changes and transformations. Therefore, we have to hear, listen, read, practice, and listen and study again and again and again and again. And whatever we have studied, learned, we try to reflect, contemplate again and again and again. Whatever we have contemplated, reflected, we try to familiarize with that again and again, meditation, until we started to have a realization and real transformations. That is the purpose of whole study. And therefore, there is our teachers always used to, and His Holiness always say as well, the Dharma's teachings, you can listen 100 times, same thing. You can read same book 20 times, 25 times. Each time you learn something new. Each time you learn something, you learn something new. The words are same, but you have more profound understanding, more deeper understanding. Something that you have not, you are not hearing something new, but you are learning something new. Do you get it? You are not hearing something new. It's something that you have heard so much, so many times, or you have read so many times, but now you are learning something new. And so that is the beauty of the Dharma. That's the beauty of the Dharma. There's such a depth in that. There's such a depth in that each time you hear, each time you study, you can learn more, even though it's the same word. And therefore, for such beings, then it will be beneficial. And so that is something that we have to also try to keep in our mind. Until we have realizations, we need to continue to hear again and again. We need to study and learn and read again and again. Not just study, but once what you have studied, we try to reflect. What we have reflect, then we try to meditate until we have realizations. And so that is the purpose of studying. That is the purpose of studying. It's not to just collect informations. Okay. The purpose of studying Dharma is not to collect new informations, is to help us to integrate and transform our mind. And so here, so for those people with that kind of, for those who have that kind of intention, motivation, then it will be beneficial, he's saying. For those, it will be helpful and beneficial. And in a way, then it's a teaching for us. It's teaching us how to listen, how to study, how to practice. And if you practice with such intention, motivation, and then it will be meaningful and beneficial. So even though when you just read it, it doesn't seem any profound, but there is a really profound meaning in each of them. It teaches us how to listen and study properly. And if we listen with that kind of right intention, motivation properly, then the benefit we get from that. So then from here, the main body of the scripture starts, and then even in terms of the main, then when we try to generate Bodhisattva mind, we need to have the right vessels to cultivate that Bodhisattva mind in terms of physical vessel and mental vessels, right mind state and the right physical body in order to support, to develop that Bodhisattva mind. And so in concerning to the right body, then we talk about the human life is the most suitable to develop Bodhisattva mind. Human life with such a human body is the most suitable, the best suitable among all other sentient beings of 6 realms to develop the Bodhisattva mind. So that's where, and so you can see in verse number 4, leisure and endowment are very hard to find. And since they accomplish what is meaningful for man, if we do not take advantage of them now, how will such perfect opportunity come about again? So here saying, at the moment, we have obtained precious human life with the 8 leisures and 10 endowments. So not all human life are precious human life when we talk about precious human life. Of course, generally, all human lives are precious, okay? But when you use that term in Buddhist, precious human life, then that refers to human life with 18 qualities. The 18 qualities are the 8 leisure and 10 endowment. And that is the most precious or precious, okay? Generally, I think maybe we can say all life are precious. Among that, human life is even precious. Among that, even with the leisure and endowment, even more precious. So the precious or precious, okay? So we don't need to go in each of those 8 leisure and 10 endowments, okay? We don't want to spend too much time on that, okay? Basically, leisure means, having the leisure to practice the Dharma. That means free from the most of the obstacle to practice the Dharma. Okay? Leisure means having the freedom or free from all the major state obstacles state to practice the Dharma. Endowments here meanings we have gathered all the right conducive conditions to practice the Dharma. 5 from outside, 5 from other sides, but again, not basically what we're saying, we are free from the major obstacles and have gathered major conducive condition practice of Dharma. And so therefore it's the most perfect state to practice the Dharma. So we have to recognize that. We have to recognize that. We have to recognize that. If we don't recognize that, then we don't understand our own values, the value of our life. And if we don't understand the value of our life, we waste it. We waste it. If you understand the value of life, then you will take most of it. You will make most from it. Let's say you found a precious gem. Okay? If you know the value of that precious gem, you will make most of it. If you don't know the value of that, you might just exchange that for a cup of coffee. If you knew the value of that, you will make most of it. Probably you could make it millions, But you don't understand the value, then you exchange for a cup of tea, cup of coffee. And so we lose the opportunity to make most of it. Same way, when we don't really understand the true value and preciousness of our life, then we lose the great opportunity to make most of it. And so therefore, reflecting, contemplating, and understanding the value of that, yeah. And we should feel very gratitude every day by reflecting on that. Not all human beings have that kind of opportunity. There are so many of people in the world, who want to practice, but they are in a place where they don't have access, where they don't have the freedom to practice. For example, like in China and many other countries, they are not allowed to practice. You can get in prison for doing that. You can be punished, put in the prison for doing that. And so there are so many countries in the world, and so there are so many beings, even they have human life, even they have the interest, first of all, due to certain laws of the countries and the leaders, people doesn't have. And then there are some others who are born in or who are in a country where they have freedom of religious, freedom to practice the Dharma, but then where they are, they don't have access to any center, any teachers. I mean, I've seen so many people, met so many people, like especially Kopan, we in Nepal, Kopan, when we have the meditation course, we have a lot of young people. I've never seen so many young people there. When you come to the centers here you don't see so many young people, not so many. You do see it, but not so many. But like in Kopan, a lot of time, most of them are young, who have just graduated from the universities and like that, and they have so much enthusiasm, so much interest, they're so interested and they want to continue, and then they go back to their home, and then where they are, they don't have access to the Dharma. There's no centers, teachers, and slowly they lose the interest, and slowly, because they don't have the support, because they don't have the support. So, like that. And then some people, even there is a center around them, there is a teacher around them, they don't have interest. They have no interest. And there's some interest, but they keep on putting down and never find time. I want to go, I want to learn, but somehow they couldn't really push themselves, and then they never find the opportunity to practice and learn, study, and practice. And some of them, even there is an interest, even they push themselves, but they have physical disability that make them much more difficult. Not easy. So we are free from all of that. We are free from all of that. We are in a place where there's a freedom. We have access to Dharma in some way, and we have the interest, and not only we have interest, we have tried to integrate and practice a little bit, even though sometimes it's not easy, but still we try to do that. And so with that, we should always feel grateful, thankful, gratitude every day. So glad, so in such precious human life is hard to find. It's not easy to find again and again, recognizing that also. If it's easy, then, even we cannot utilize this lifetime, maybe we might be able to maybe practice next lifetime. But it's not so easy. It's hard to find again and again, to have precious human life, we need a strong practice of moral discipline, pure moral discipline, supported by the practice of other perfections such as generosity and right dedication and prayers. And sometimes those practices are not so easy. If the course is not so easy, the result wouldn't be so easy too. It will be rare. The course is rare, therefore the result will be rare. And so therefore it will be hard to find. And so because it is already in our hand now, so we must make most of it. And the way to make most of it and make our life meaningful is practice the Dharma in general, and especially the Bodhisattva practices, Mahayana practices, the Bodhisattva practices, to develop Bodhisattva mind and to engage in the Bodhisattva practices. There is nothing more meaningful than to be able to do that. There's nothing we can make most of it than to be able to do that. And so with that understanding, making an effort, intention and effort to make our life meaningful by engaging in the Dharma practice, especially the Bodhisattva practices, and to making a strong intentions. And again, the practice of Dharma is not, the main practice of Dharma is, we practice through mentally, is a mind. And the human mind has incredible potentials, If you use it negatively for destructions, it can be incredibly destructive. If you use it to a positive, it can be incredibly powerful. Unlike animals, One animal, how much distraction they can do if they want to be destructive, Human beings can destroy the whole world. One person's, especially now at time, with all these nuclear, with all these kind of weapons, nuclear weapons, one person can probably destroy the whole planet. Such as human mind develops such weapons where one can kind of destroy in terms of destructions. On other hand, also human, if we use it properly, the human can save all the humankind. It can save the whole animals. It can save the whole planet, the whole world. We also, human being has also that capacity, that mind to do that. And that is why humans, precious human life, and why that is why human life is so powerful to cultivate the Bodhisattva mind and practice. We do have that incredible, powerful mind. You know, so we have to, we have the perfect, as you say, we have the perfect opportunity to really transform our mind and to be benefit to ourselves and others with this precious human life, and we shouldn't let it go, and we should try to make most of it, take advantage of that, and make meaningful. Because such opportunity does not come again and again very frequently. Sometimes we are kind of, we human beings are strange creatures, We make a wish, dedication, prayer to have precious human life in the future, which we might or might not, It depends on so many conditions. But we already have that. We don't have to pray and dedicate and ask for it. We already have that, and we don't utilize that. It is like, you are hungry and the food is in front of you, and then you are making prayer, not eating it and making prayer. May I have a food tomorrow, next week, next month, which you might or you might not have. But you are hungry and the food is in front of you, and instead of eating it, then Lord, sometimes that is how we are, as strange as it is, but we tend to sometimes do like that way. And the next one, fifth, just as the flash of lightning on the dark cloudy night for an instant brightly illuminate all, likewise in the world through the mighty of Dharma and Buddha, wholesome thought rarely and briefly appear. So here is saying, how hence the virtues, the next one, perpetually feeble, and the great strength of evil being extremely intense, and except for a fully awakened mind, what other virtues will be overcome? So here is saying, by giving an example of the lightning is so, very quick, just one moment, just one moment. I didn't see lightning was so fast, one time there was having a lot of lightning here, so I was trying to take some pictures, and it's hard to get, even though it's very fast, still the lightning is too fast to you to click it, to get really, by the time you click it and you are waiting there, and by the time you click it, it's gone, I couldn't get, I tried so, and lightning was happening so off very frequently, still I was finding very hard to capture. That just gave me before that I didn't thought it was so quick, and that was quite interesting for me. I said, whoa, it's much more quicker than I thought. much more quicker than that. It's so quick, you know. Yeah. So like that, it's so quick, you know. And it lasts only for that when we're one lightning, it lasts for only millisecond. What it was, you know, very short period. That with that lightning which illuminate the darkness, you know, for that short moment when you are lost on the in the forest, you know, then lightning comes one moment, then you see for a few moments what is there, the path, everything's, and then it's gone. For a few moments you see the path, what is here and there, and then it's gone, you know, that illuminate the path. And so same way, you know, the virtuous thought is very rare to arise. On the other hand, the negative thoughts arises frequently, so frequently, so frequently. Virtuous thought, even with effort, is hard to have. When you're trying to generate good intention, motivations, even when you are putting so much effort to generate good intention, it's still very hard, isn't it? I don't know how do you find? I find very hard. Even when you are putting effort, negative thoughts, no effort. Even you put effort not to have negative thoughts. That very moment you are trying to not to have negative thought arises. You know, you are trying very hard not to have any bad feelings. You know, someone you have someone you dislike, someone that you have problems. And you are trying very hard to feel compassion, not to have negative thought. That very moment, the negative thought arises, you know, boom, boom, boom. So engage in virtues is so difficult. Engage in non-virtues is so easy, so easy. When we try to engage something virtuous, you know, sometimes at the very beginning, the preparation not strong. Sometimes preparation is strong, the actual practice or the actual virtue itself not strong. Sometimes the actually strong, the end is not strong, the dedications. So sometimes we have good intentions, motivation at the beginning, but the practice itself is not so strong, good. Sometimes the practice itself is good, but then we don't have good dedications, the end. So all of the motivation, the actual practice, the dedication, all them coming together in a nice way is rare. One of them is missing most time. Sometimes two of them missing, sometimes one of them is missing. Or if they are not missing, some of them are not so strong. On others, when we engage in the non-virtues, you know, the intention is there strong, the actual actions is there strong, and the end is strong there, all of them. So when you compare those two, the virtues and non-virtues, in terms of intensity, the non-virtue is much more stronger. In terms of frequency, the negative is much more stronger. It is most time it is there. Virtues very hardly, very, you know, very few. And therefore some of the Kadamba masters, they use these examples, you know. Engaging in virtues is like, you know, when you are trying to they use like donkey, you know, in the old time, they use the donkey for transportations, you know. So when the donkey is very tired and is stiff, you know, so you are trying to let it go, you know, what you call, you are trying to not chase, lead it, you know, from behind. And because it's very tired and it's stiff, so it doesn't move, you know, it just keep on, doesn't move, you know. That's like our virtues. Our virtue is like that. Our non-virtues, negative, is like they say, you know, rolling of the stone from the hill, you know, when there is a stone, you know, rolling from the hill, from the mountains, it doesn't require any kind of effort, you know, it just rolls. And non-virtue is like that, you know. And I mean, one moment, you know, the, the negative thoughts, you know, arises so frequently. Sometimes we are so impatient, sometimes we are so frustrated, sometimes we are upset, angry, impatient. Sometimes we have strong craving, attachments, ignorance. Sometimes we are jealousy. Those come very often, very, very frequent. And virtuous thought, very, very little. So from that perspective, you know, so if we really kind of to weight these two, you know, the negative or non-virtues is much more stronger than virtues at this point. Of course, if we practice and if we improve, hopefully maybe after some time, when we wait, they become equal, you know, and then slowly, slowly, maybe the virtues overweight the non-virtues. But at the moment, the non-virtues overweight the virtues. You have a scale, the non-virtue is down and virtue is up there like this, you know. It just go like that. So here is saying, you know, when that's non-virtue is so strong and virtue is so feeble and so um, so weak, we need to cultivate awakened mind that can destroy that bodhisattva, awakened mind of the bodhisattva that can destroy all these non-virtues, all these negative thoughts, non-virtues. There's nothing more powerful than that awakening bodhisattva to destroy all these very strong and intense non-virtues and negative thoughts and actions. So this is like this is like the nuclear energy of bomb that can destroy the whole world of the negativities, the non-virtues. Just like nuclear, even though it's very small, you know, nuclear, you know, even though it is very small, when you throw it, it's very small, but it has power, incredible power to destroy the whole planet. Same way, the awakened mind of Bodhisattva is like nuclear that has incredible power to destroy the huge amount of those non-virtues and negative. And so therefore, the Bodhisattva mind is that can overcome all these negativities and non-virtues and non-virtuous thoughts, you know. And so therefore, that is why we need to develop the Bodhisattva mind. And otherwise, there will be too much of negative karma. to deal with, to purify, you know. But once you have Bodhisattva mind, it can purify all this negative karma instantly, so strongly, many of them. So that is the meaning of that. So there is no other virtues. What other virtue will it be to overcome, you know? So there is no other virtues that can overcome such a powerful negative karma, non-virtues, except in the awakening mind of the Bodhisattva. You know. So many of the Kadamba masters says, you know, most powerful practice to purify is to cultivate Bodhisattva mind. And it's same here. The most powerful way to purify all the negative karma that we have created in the past is to cultivate Bodhisattva mind. The most powerful way to stop creating more negative karma is Bodhisattva mind. When you have Bodhisattva mind, we will be able to stop so much of negative karma immediately. When you have Bodhisattva mind, you know, you hardly create so much negative karma. It will be able to stop from creating any negative karma. Not only it will stop from creating more negative karma when you have that Bodhisattva mind, it will also immediately purify negative karma that we have created in the past. Extremely powerful. So this is the same here. And again, in terms of maybe I don't know. For example, you know, there is a story of Asanga and trying to accomplish Maitreya Buddha. You know, he spent 3 years in the cave. He didn't see any signs. He gave up. I don't want to go this story too long, you know. And then again, he sees something that kind of gave him inspiration. And again, he go back inside. Again, do 3 years of retreat. Again, there's no signs. Again, he come back. He's discouraged. Come back. Again, he sees something, and that inspired him. Again, he go back. 12 years he did in the cave meditation. There's no sign of any accomplishment that he was trying to accomplish. Cave, and then he see a dog which legs are being kind of full of magnet, you know, kind of with wounds. And he felt incredible compassion, you know, so felt incredible compassion for the dog, which is full of all this magnet with all the wounds and magnet. And so he wanted to kind of help out of incredible compassions. And but also he didn't want to kill the magnet as well. So he was, you know, wondering how to do it, you know, without. And so then he cut his own flesh. And then he wanted to put the magnet on his flesh so they didn't die and there's something. But then if he take with his hand, he might kill them, you know. So again, he was thinking how to do that. Then he was thinking, oh, by licking, you know. So he started to close his eyes and started to lick the magnet. And that very moment, the dog was gone, disappeared, and instead it appeared a Maitreya Buddha. It appeared a Maitreya Buddha. The dog was, you know, and then he said, you know, how come Maitreya Buddha, how come you have no compassion? I have been meditating for 12 years and you have never shown up until now. How come you have no compassion? And he said, you know, I was always there, but you couldn't see me. I was always been there, but you couldn't see me. And you were actually spitting on me. he said, because in the cave, I'm sure he was spitting here and there, when he has slipper. So he was saying, actually, you are spitting on me. But Asanga couldn't believe, still he wasn't so sure, And he said, if you don't believe, you take me to the town on your shoulder. And so he took his shoulder, and nobody saw the material Buddha, and they couldn't see him. And it said only one old lady saw only the legs. And so what the story is that, when you have incredible compassion, it purifies all the negative karma. To see that 12 years he had been meditating, he couldn't purify all this negative karma, the obscuration, the negative karma, to see the material. But one instant of great compassion led him to purify all this negative karma, which he had not been able to purify in these 12 years. So that is how powerful one moment of compassion, one moment of bodhicitta can purify so much negative karma that you are not being able to purify in 12 years. And so that is related to these subjects of that story. And, okay. I think if there is any question, please feel comfortable to ask. So otherwise, yeah. Any question?
Brittany, did you want to jump in with the question? Or I know you had something on bodhicitta.
Sure. Thank you, Geshe, very much for the teaching. That was really wonderful. I have a couple questions, but maybe just one for now. Once bodhicitta is realized, does it completely pervade the mind? Or alternately, would there be a situation where, this sounds kind of silly, but I was thinking it through, one develops like 5% of true bodhicitta and then 10%, and just kind of increases, but it's still true bodhicitta. It's not aspirational bodhicitta.
Mm-hmm. Yes. At the very beginning, we develop the bodhicitta with effort. Okay. When we put effort, then it comes. When we don't put effort, it doesn't come. So as we practice, and as our practice become better and better and more familiarized with the practice, then it becomes less and less effort. It requires less and less effort. And then slowly, effortlessly, you cultivate the bodhicitta mind. That is when we have the realization of bodhicitta. When you have that effortlessly, then it doesn't require any effort. It just arises at the moment, like delusion arises effortlessly. Okay. When you see someone's attitude, then anger just arises. Someone's attitude of behavior, anger just arises. You don't have to put any effort. You see something, object, nice, attachment arises, no effort. Same way, without any effort, when you have that bodhicitta, when you see any suffering sentient beings, that bodhicitta mind, that compassion arises naturally, effortlessly. So that is when we have achieved the bodhicitta mind realization, and that is when you enter the first path of then you become bodhisattvas, when you have that effortless, spontaneous, effortless and spontaneous, and that is when we have actualized the bodhicitta realizations. That is when you become bodhisattva. That is when you enter the first path of the bodhisattvas, the path of accumulations. And and once you have that, then it's effortless, it's natural, and it just comes, so then all the time, so then, yeah. But before we reach that, then that is where we need to put effort. And with that effort, as you said, at the very beginning, maybe it's 5%. And as we put more and more, then it's 10%, 15%, and 20%, and 50 and 100. Yeah, so definitely that is how we start, yeah. Okay. So maybe you have more questions. Maybe you can you bring tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. Tomorrow we will have more time. Okay. So then we do the dedications. May all beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with a mind weighed down by depressions. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sound. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water. May the poor find wealth. Those who weep with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever disease they are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Geshe.
Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Good
See
night.
you.